There was this cartoon that came out recently called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which, in my eyes, was kind of the perfect cartoon. Originally, the comics went from 2004 to 2010, and 2010 was also when a movie adaptation got released, which did terribly in the box office. It was a massive failure. But it had such an amazing story, and it was centered on these two, and I know this sounds incredibly literal, but try to think of it in this metaphorical sense, grown-up teenagers. And despite it sounding silly, it is kind of what it is. Those two were incredibly emotionally unavailable and had a lot of maturing to do, which took place over the course of the movie. But in the end, it did resolve in a happy ending where the two were able to recognize their faults and make a vow to grow up from that. But even then, it wasn't handled like 100%. And in the end of the movie, you would even see Ramona running away again, as though she hadn't learned that that was a major problem in her life.
That was really nice. Hey. You're going?
I should probably disappear.
After all that?
I still need a new life. I came here to escape, but the past keeps catching up. I'm tired of people getting hurt because of me.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get over it.
I don't mean just you.
At least that was the case, all the way back in 2010. But now it's 2023, and whoa, look at this, a new cartoon's out. And at first glance, a lot of people always thought, oh, well, this is just going to be another retelling of Scott Pilgrim, because all that we're seeing in these trailers is scenes adapted from the movie into animation. But we found out that wasn't the case. But instead we got this incredible what if, where instead of Scott winning his fight against Matthew Patel, instead he was, and this is going to sound crazy, dragged into the future. That's it. He was dragged into the future, and he got to see what his future self was like after the events of the movie and comic books. He got to see how old and immature he had gotten over these years, how he didn't grow at all from those events, because even in the end, they were still able to completely break apart after just one small hiccup. And while Scott was stuck in the future, Ramona was facing all of her exes once again, talking to them and being emotionally available with them. And while Scott wasn't around, and she was searching for him, she was able to face her past and grow as a person because of this. Now, instead of this fun story about fighting a bunch of evil exes, it became this story where, while still amazing, incredible, honestly really funny, it was more about the growth of these characters. There were a few very notable scenes regarding this, one of which being when Ramona and Roxy got to talk once more, and Roxy expressed how pained she was given how Ramona handled their breakup and how she made her feel like she was nothing because of it. And this is exactly how it was supposed to be. This is something that Brian Lee O'Malley had mentioned in interviews, is that this was made when he was 25. He was 25, he was, in his eyes, a mess. And that's just real for a lot of people, is that they'll be young and they'll do things that are creatively expressive, and then they'll look back on this and be like, I had a lot of problems when I was making this that I didn't realize, but now it's shining through in this work. And I feel like that's what makes this extremely special, because it's been this long and the creator has come back and established a new story full of emotional maturity that both he has experienced, as well as what the audience may have experienced since they had first seen this when they were younger. In an interview with Polygon, Brian Lee O'Malley had said, I've absorbed all these things over the years. I didn't disappear after Scott Pilgrim finished. So, in a lot of ways, I kind of want it to feel like Scott Pilgrim is back from the dead. You thought it was gone, but it's back. But not only is it back, like it never left, it's also been paying attention to you. It's grown up alongside you. And in essence, I feel like that's what made this extremely special, is just the connection that it can have with these people. In the creation of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, it's embraced change and it's embraced growth, and I feel like that's what's most important. There's been a lot of discourse online about how it's not as good or it's not necessarily true to Scott Pilgrim because of these changes. And in all honesty, I feel like that might be an incredibly limited way to look at it, considering the kind of growth that both the creators and the audience has gone through these years. Even in this cartoon alone, it's proven that people can change over the years. Even if you revisit something, it's not going to be the same as it was.